When Meghan Markle walked onto that glittering stage at the Fortune Most Powerful Women's Summit, she must have believed the world would see a rebirth. Cameras flashed, applause rolled like thunder, and the Duchess smiled as though the moment were already history. But what followed wasn't triumph. It was unraveling. Within minutes, that polished interview began leaking across social media, not as inspiration but as entertainment. The clip didn't trend because people were moved. It trended because people were laughing, pausing, rewinding, and wondering how someone so rehearsed could feel so lost. She sat there glowing beneath the lights, talking about business, freedom, and authenticity, her voice steady, her posture flawless. Yet every word from Meghan Markle's mouth felt memorized, like a line she'd practiced in front of a mirror. She spoke about community and purpose, about women lifting women, phrases that sounded empowering but hollow. The audience's expressions told the story, smiles frozen, eyes wandering, polite claps landing a second too late. Everyone sensed that the speech wasn't coming from a founder's heart. It was coming from a PR handbook. Then came the moment that broke the illusion. She started gushing about how her company, American Riviera Orchard, was born from her passion for making jam. She said the word again and again, jam this, jam that, like it was her badge of authenticity. Except she doesn't sell jam. She sells spread. The legal, literal difference is huge, and every serious businessperson in that audience knew it instantly. A jam must contain a fixed percentage of fruit to earn the name. A spread is what you sell when it doesn't. That single mistake revealed more than she realized. The founder on stage didn't know the product on her own label. You could feel the discomfort ripple through the room. Real entrepreneurs know every ingredient, every number, every rule tied to their business. Yet Meghan Markle, who claimed to be hands-on with every detail, couldn't name her product correctly. The moderator avoided correcting her. Nobody wanted to embarrass royalty, but the silence spoke volumes. That silence said, she's not one of us. Moments later she doubled down, saying she personally manages margins, reads balance sheets, oversees production. It was almost comical. How can someone who doesn't know her own SKU claim to analyze profit and loss statements? Viewers online caught it instantly. Screenshots flooded X and TikTok. If she's this involved, why doesn't she know what she sells? The facade cracked in real time. Then came the Netflix question, and the spin reached new heights. Asked about her deal with the streaming giant, Meghan Markle flashed a polished grin and declared the partnership had been extended, calling it proof of creative trust. In reality, that extension was no celebration, it was a downgrade. The $100 million guaranteed contract had expired, replaced by what Hollywood calls a first-look agreement. Translation: Netflix doesn't owe them a cent unless it actually buys a project. It's the difference between being on payroll and working on commission. But Meghan Markle sold it as liberation, describing it as flexibility and choice. To anyone who's worked in production, it sounded like a press release rewritten on the fly. Inside the room, heads tilted. Outside, the industry was already whispering. Netflix didn't renew, it retreated. Their faith in the Sussex brand had vanished after one headline-driven documentary and a string of flops. Still, there she was, spinning the downgrade as destiny. It might have fooled a casual viewer, but not the executives watching from home. They know a rebrand when they see one. And then came the moment that sent even her fans into disbelief. The moderator asked how she plans to connect with consumers online, Instagram, TikTok, all of it. Meghan Markle laughed and said, "Oh, the last time I was on Instagram, Boomerang was a thing." The room went quiet. Boomerang? That feature was trending nearly 10 years ago. The line, meant as charm, landed like a confession. She was admitting that the woman building a lifestyle brand in 2025 hasn't meaningfully touched social media since 2015. In an era where entire empires are built on Reels and TikToks. She might as well have said she still uses dial-up. She giggled as if it were cute, unaware of how it sounded to founders who live online 12 hours a day analyzing reach, conversions, engagement. Those women spend nights studying algorithms, crafting posts, building real communities. Meghan Markle dismissed it all with a nostalgic joke about a decade-old app. To them, that wasn't relatable, it was tone-deaf. Watching her talk about digital connection, while being disconnected from digital life itself, felt like witnessing a royal relic trying to speak fluent Gen Z. She said she values community, yet her own social media pages have comments turned off. She praised interaction, yet no one can reply. She wants to appear approachable but hides behind a glass wall of management teams and polished captions. Everything about that summit revealed a woman chasing the image of entrepreneurship without embracing the labor of it. As the interview dragged on, you could see Meghan Markle slipping deeper into her performance, gesturing, smiling, layering buzzword after buzzword until the sentences blurred into nothing. The applause at the end was polite, the kind reserved for someone famous, not someone convincing. The event was meant to crown her as a serious business leader. Instead, it crowned her as something else entirely, a case study in overproduction. By the time the lights dimmed, the damage was done. Viewers online replayed her lines about jam, dissected her Netflix spin, laughed at the boomerang comment, and shared memes faster than her team could flag them. What began as a summit appearance had turned into another viral reminder that beneath the branding and word salad optimism, Meghan Markle still hasn't figured out who she is as a businesswoman. And for someone who's built a life on controlling every narrative, that loss of control might be the most painful blow of all. The second half of Meghan Markle's appearance was supposed to redeem her, but it only exposed more cracks in the mirror. The conversation shifted toward community building, a phrase she repeated with almost ritual devotion. She spoke about how much she values connection, how American Riviera Orchard was built to bring people together, to create warmth and dialogue. The words sounded poetic, until you remembered the one thing she'd rather no one mention: her comment sections are locked tighter than a vault. How can you build community when nobody's allowed to speak? Meghan Markle talked about handwritten thank you notes, about her team sending her screenshots of positive posts, and how she personally replies to fans with little cards and ribbons. The crowd smiled politely, but behind those smiles was confusion. That isn't engagement. That's control. Real community is messy. It's open. It breathes. It allows people to argue, to question, to share. What she described sounded less like connection and more like curation, a world where only the flattering voices get through. It was the perfect metaphor for her brand, beautiful on the outside, airless on the inside. When the moderator gently asked if she worried about being too filtered, Meghan Markle gave a long, winding answer about online safety and mental health. It was eloquent, yes, but it danced around the truth. The truth that she doesn't want to see criticism. That she doesn't want to risk authenticity unless it's scripted. She wants the love, not the feedback. And in that moment, every founder in that room realized something they'd suspected for years: this isn't entrepreneurship. It's performance art. Then came another awkward stumble, one that had actual producers wincing. Meghan Markle began comparing her new cooking show to her 7 years on Suits. She said the workload was just as demanding, that she was involved in every layer of production. The audience didn't need to be experts to know how absurd that sounded. Suits was a full-scale scripted drama filmed for months each year, with hundreds of people on set and dozens of episodes per season. Her current show is a glossy 8-episode lifestyle series filmed in her kitchen. To compare the two wasn't confidence, it was delusion. Producers watching online shook their heads. They knew what she didn't, that unscripted content and scripted drama live in different universes of effort. Meghan Markle wasn't directing, editing, or financing. She was hosting. Smiling. Stirring. That's fine, but pretending it's equivalent to carrying a network show only underlined how far she's drifted from reality. The woman who once played a paralegal now speaks like she ran the studio, and then came the topic that made even her defenders go silent: money. The moderator asked why financial independence matters to her, clearly setting her up for an empowering speech. Meghan Markle leaned in, talking about freedom, about choice, about women taking control of their own destinies. The words shimmered with power, but the irony hit like thunder. This was a woman who married a prince. A woman whose independence began with royal millions and global fame. Every business door that's opened because of that title she claims to have left behind. The entrepreneurs in that audience, the ones who mortgaged homes, maxed out credit cards, and built success from nothing, listened in polite silence. They knew she wasn't one of them. They knew that when she spoke about freedom of choice, she was really describing privilege. Meghan Markle didn't earn independence. She inherited the luxury to chase it. And yet she talked like she'd clawed her way up from the bottom. It was tone-deaf at best, insulting at worst. She bragged that her products keep selling out, framing it as proof of unstoppable demand. But analysts online quickly pointed out what she didn't say: when you only release a few dozen jars, selling out isn't success, it's strategy. Artificial scarcity creates the illusion of demand. Anyone can do it. But Meghan Markle told the story like her shelves were being raided daily by frantic customers. In truth, the latest batches sit online for weeks. The magic wore off the moment curiosity faded, and that's the real story behind American Riviera Orchard. The first wave of orders came from curiosity, not loyalty: journalists, critics, and royal watchers buying jars just to write about them. Once the headlines died, so did the hype. The product itself, overpriced and ordinary, couldn't hold attention without her name attached. The sellouts stopped. The waiting lists shrank. And yet on that stage, Meghan Markle kept smiling, spinning numbers into fairy tales. By now, viewers online had turned the entire summit into a case study. Clips circulated with captions like "Word Salad Masterclass" and "How Not to Pitch Your Brand." People noticed how she leaned on words like authentic, intentional, and purpose until they lost all meaning. Buzzwords wrapped in glitter, empty at the core. She spoke about tactile experiences while selling products you can only buy online. She called her brand accessible luxury, yet charged triple for jam, spread that no one could justify buying twice. It all revealed a truth her PR team can't edit away. Meghan Markle is fluent in presentation, not execution. She knows how to perform success, not sustain it. She wants the spotlight that comes with entrepreneurship, but not the grind that defines it. And the Fortune Summit, the place she hoped would crown her as a serious businesswoman, turned into a mirror reflecting the gap between fantasy and fact. By the end, the moderator thanked her for sharing her journey, and the applause felt obligatory, almost merciful. Cameras flashed one last time as Meghan Markle waved and walked off, unaware that the real show had already begun online. Within hours, her speech was trending, not as empowerment, but as irony. Commentators called it the downfall of a brand built on illusion. Entrepreneurs dissected her answers frame by frame. Even fans quietly admitted the performance felt hollow. This was supposed to be Meghan Markle's redemption, her declaration that she'd built something on her own terms. Instead, it became a public autopsy of the myth she's been selling since leaving the palace. Every contradiction, every buzzword, every nervous laugh was recorded, clipped, and replayed until the truth was impossible to ignore. She isn't the entrepreneur she pretends to be. She's the product, and the audience has finally stopped buying.